I love it.
Jay looked like he's somewhere else. He had a deserted warehouse.
It does look nice.
It's all good.
He blend all in.
Hey man, let's do this podcast.
All right, let's
hit it.
Do this podcast.
Take a seat and put your feet up. We gon' meet up. Sit with me and sip some tea with Remy Mulatto. Give me bottles of Hennessy and Moscato. They had enough already, but there's plenty to follow. I stay poetic, but Jay noetic, remaining effective. Conversation getting heavy, staying respected, playing the record, maintaining collective. Saying what you think, it ain't no place for rejecting. I claim it, I meant it. It's mostly everybody talking honestly over drinks. Tell me what you think. It's mostly everybody talking honestly over drinks. So tell me what you think. It's mostly everybody talking honestly over drinks. Tell me what you think. It's mostly everybody talking honestly over drinks. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think.
Welcome to a Method Podcast. I'm Jay Noetic.
I'm Remy Mulatto.
And I'm Selena C.
This season on a Method Podcast, there's shit on our mind.
Shit to talk.
And shit that needs to be said.
And the best way to talk that shit is to
have mostly everybody talking honestly
over drinks. And that's what we call a motherfucking method. Oh, hold on. I forgot the air horn.
Come on, Jay.
Hey, hold on. I gotta get to it.
Where the air horn at, man?
All right, there we go.
All right,
hey, man. If it's your first time joining a Method Podcast, remember, if you're watching this on Spotify or YouTube, hit the subscribe button, the notification button, so you can get notifications when we drop a new episode. If you're watching the live, we appreciate y'all, man. Hit the like, share, and make sure you comment in the live tonight. Hey, let's get into a method mood. Method mood. Bad mood, good mood, or great mood? How y'all feeling? What's your mood this week? Bad mood?
I'm in a great mood.
Well, you should be in a great mood. Yeah. You just had a motherfucking birthday.
That's right.
I'm in a great mood.
Just got back from out of town.
Yes.
We should sing her happy birthday, even though her birthday's already passed.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to
it's your
you.
Birthday. It's your birthday.
Hey.
How's Arizona? You went to Arizona, right?
Yes. Arizona was good. Beautiful.
That's it?
Yeah.
Did you do anything that I wouldn't do?
Probably
Did you
not.
behave yourself?
Did you behave yourself?
I did.
What'd you do that for? It was your birthday.
All I did was, hang out with my friends, people I've known for a real long time.
Yeah.
Just was good to be home. You don't even really have to do a lot when you link back up with people you haven't seen in a long time. Just being in their presence is good enough.
Yeah.
Did you drink a lot?
I did.
Yeah, nice.
I did. I went to a dispensary too because there's lots of sunshine all over Arizona because it's legal there.
I'm sure it was super hot though, right? Isn't Arizona hot all year round?
No. They were experiencing a cold front.
So
it was in the 60s.
Okay. A little bit warmer than here. Mm-hmm. It was definitely cold here.
I was glad it wasn't hot. I wasn't prepared.
How young did you turn again? 47, you said?
48.
48.
Well, I had to think about that. 48.
I mean, after a while, I think we all just stopped counting, right? 48.
I wish time would just stop. Just sit still for a little while or go slow.
It's not going to stop. Remy, how you feeling? Bad mood, good mood, great mood?
How am I feeling? That's a good question. I'm not feeling as good as I was feeling last week, that's for sure. But that's kind of how it go, don't it? Like
it ebbs and flows for sure. It goes up and goes down.
Sure. Whenever you have like a really, really good ass week, it's not like the next week is gonna be better. The next week is gonna be like, whatever. So that's what we at. We roll.
I don't know. I guess it depends on.
Like you can't have two good weeks back to back.
Why can't you? Like that. Yeah, it does.
You can have a whole good month.
Absolutely, it does. But I mean, it's personal experience.
Not
though.
For me.
Not for you.
Not for me.
That means you got one. You owed one. It's coming.
So my week has I'm in a pretty good mood. I would say good mood. Got my annual review from work yesterday because y'all know all of us still work real fucking jobs. You know why? Because y'all ain't sharing our shit. That's why. But no. But
I was about to say you got a job.
I know I got a job, man.
Yeah.
So
we don't make enough money off of this.
So my annual review was pretty decent. Better than last year, but just a little bit better because it's an all new role for me that I've been learning. Mm-hmm. So anytime I'm like, I still got a job. Yes.
Let me ask you a question. When you do the annual review, do they ask you like what your strengths are, or your current strengths, or your.
Oh yeah, they say what do you feel like you did better? You're doing good at. What do you feel like you need to improve?
Yeah.
You know, and so I always choose like shit that can't be held against me. You know what I mean? Because like, what do you need to improve at? Well, I can do a better job at responding on IM. I can do a better job at communicating, blah blah blah. But you know, I never want to put anything in there where they can dock me points.
Right.
You know, that's just
like
me.
what he said.
Yeah, exactly. Like what you're not going to do is use my own words against me.
Right.
So, Method Heads, how y'all feeling this week? Good mood.
Yeah. How's
Thank you,
everybody
Elizabeth.
feeling?
Thank you.
How is everybody feeling?
I think it's time for
Donald
us
Trump
to
was
get
supposed to get arrested.
Oh, we're gonna talk about it for a little bit.
So
let's talk about it. Let's get into what we call a method movie. So a method movie, I am going to play a movie clip for the method heads and for these two lovely people at the table. The rules are they must guess it before one another. But Remy's been kind of nice to y'all lately. He hasn't been guessing at all. He's been letting y'all guess in the comments.
I'm a man of the people. What can I say?
He's a man of the people. So we want to try to guess it before these two as well. All right. I hope I can stump y'all this week. Selena ain't too worried about because she don't know shit about movies.
I don't.
But we're gonna see.
I try though.
All right, let me see if I open this thing up on my iPad because you know I be struggling. Open. All right. What movie is this?
I don't know why you trying to act like you cleaning up. Man, I always think we're gonna steal something. What you want, dog?
Oh, I know this. It's Menace to
Society.
Society.
Correct. Menace to Society. We'll let it play out for a little bit. Let it play out for a little bit.
Oh man, I'm from the old school, brother.
They probably can't see it.
You not to drink beer in store. Hey man, I'ma pay you. Hey look, bitch, stop following me around this motherfucker. You getting on my nerves.
Hurry up and buy.
Fuck up, man.
This is the opening scene from Menace to Society.
Yes, hey, leave. Hey man, I said I'ma pay you. Won't you calm your motherfucking nerves? Damn, hurry up and go. Hey man, won't you go ahead and get me?
So this was Menace to Society. Came out in 1993, y'all. Well, let me give you a hand clap for getting that. You knew that one, huh?
I did.
There you go. Hand clap. So it came out in 1993. If I can get this closed out. How do I close it out? This is too complicated.
You just figuring out how to work your iPad?
For real.
Yeah, you got to be in the Apple world to just intuitively know how to
Hold on. I ain't gonna give it up. Oh, here we go. So 1993. This is starring Tyrone Turner, Lorenz Tate, Jada Pinkett Smith. Have you seen it? Obviously, Selena's seen it. And did you like it? IMDb gave it 7.5 out of 10. What are your thoughts?
It was a 10.
Oh, you're giving it a 10.
It was a 10.
I don't know if it was a 10.
It was a 10.
Okay, why was it a 10 in your opinion?
Because at that particular time, we didn't have a whole lot of Black movies.
Yeah.
And I probably went to the movie theater and saw that 3 times before it ever came out on VHS. And then I didn't buy it on regular VHS. I bought it on bootleg.
Right.
And I had that forever. And it's a cult classic.
It is definitely a cult classic.
It came out when?
1993. 93. So obviously we were a little bit younger than Miss Selena over here.
I was 9.
I was a grown person.
He was like 19, 20.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was that age and I had been able to see that movie at that age, I think I would have.
I mean, I remember watching this movie,
but I didn't.
But I think it's one of those movies that I had to go back and watch it a little bit older to be able to have a different impact, to understand it. You know what I mean? So
that made Lorenz Tate career. Like that really
for
catapulted him.
For
sure. I mean, what was Jada Pinkett doing before that? Like,
did she do the movie with Tupac after that or before that? Set It Off. Different World. No, she was in a different world.
Right.
So yeah,
that probably kicked off her movie career too.
Right.
So you know who was in this movie that most people forgot was in it?
Who?
Kelsey Grammer.
You would think it. No, I'm gonna play. If I can get it to play.
Tony Danza.
I'm gonna retrieve all those.
Keep guessing.
Michael J. Fox. Chevy Chase.
Nope.
Yo, some dirty motherfuckers, man.
Keep listening.
Look here, man. Now that you've been out the joint about 2 weeks, don't you think it's about time you gave me my money?
Oh, that's Sam.
Oh yeah, Samuel L.
That's Sam
Jackson.
Jackie, baby.
He was the daddy.
Samuel
Got
L.
my money yet.
Sam Jackson was in this movie.
Talking with the cigarette
Was
in
he
his
a
lips.
crackhead? He wasn't a crackhead in that movie, right? What was the movie he was a?
He was a drug addict.
He was a drug addict in that movie.
Mhm.
Okay, I kind of remember that. Then.
He was. Wait a minute. The mom was a drug addict. He was a drug dealer.
Drug dealer,
He was
yeah.
a drug dealer.
He had a very small role in this. He wasn't the biggest. Think about that. He wasn't the biggest person in that role. But look at his career
I
now.
love Sam
The
Jackson.
impact was huge. But he was doing like a lot of little cameos because remember he was in Coming to America too.
He was. So
Yeah, I didn't know that at the time. I didn't learn that until like 10 years after I saw that movie.
they had a budget of $3 million.
Oh wow.
$3 million. How much do you think they made in the box office?
Menace to Society. It
Keep
don't
in
seem
mind,
like,
she just said she went and saw it 3 times.
Right.
For
I think
It
it
don't-
probably made a lot of money because
it don't seem like it would be a movie that made a lot of money, given that like it's like a hood movie. But I feel like it had to at least double. Like black people saw that motherfucking movie. 'Cause, like that was like
Yeah.
it's kind of like Friday, but like
oh
dramatic.
yeah, for sure,
Yes.
for sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure. So what's your guess? The budget was $3 million.
6 million.
6 million. Okay. What's your guess, Selena?
4.
4 million. Method heads. What's your guess? How much money do you think Menace to Society made? The answer is $30 million.
Oh my gosh.
10 times.
They made $30 million off this movie, off a $3 million
That's
budget.
why it should have been a 10.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's times 10, baby.
That's crazy.
10 times that. Wow.
So here's a couple
But
things.
no
that-
wonder everybody kind of went off to do some big things.
For
that movie was
sure.
big.
Yeah.
For sure. So here's some things that happened in 1993, Waco, Texas siege. You remember that with David
yeah.
Koresh?
It's like
Mhm.
a movie and a documentary.
Whole
on
ass
Netflix
movie
about that
now.
shit.
They had 75 people die in that thing. It's crazy.
Crazy.
We had the World Trade Center bombing happen in the World Trade Center bombing,
First one.
the first one. Here's something that's crazy. The average cost of a new house in 1993,
$5.
$113,000.
Woo.
Average cost of a house.
Bring back
in the
them days.
entire country.
You know, we way above that now. The cost of a gallon of gas was $1.16,
What?
but you could actually buy a house at $67,000,
Yep.
which is crazy,
That's
man.
crazy.
$67,000
house,
now
too.
won't get you nothing.
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 You can't
Not
even
even-
get. You can't even get a trailer. You
You
can't get an
can't get-
RV.
You could probably get a tiny house, but you gotta
Oh,
own the
yeah.
property because you
You
ain't gonna
right.
be able to afford the land.
You could get
Yeah,
a tiny
it's
house
so
and
crazy.
you could remodel the inside.
I just read a story today about somebody building a tiny house in their backyard and they did it for $35,000.
Wow.
There's somebody.
But
I
they
don't know
but
who,
they got a backyard to put it in.
Right.
I don't know who I was talking to. Somebody I was talking to recently who said they want to put a tiny home in the back of the house.
It would be dope to make a whole micro community with
Yeah.
a bunch of tiny homes.
For sure. All right, man. Well, congratulations to Selena for winning a Method movie.
I was
Rent.
rooting for
Yay,
you.
because I won something.
I was rooting for you.
You won something. We
I was rooting for me
appreciate that.
too.
Remy, let's get into
Let's get into it.
the Method Weekly.
So let's talk about Tekashi. Is that how you say his name?
Tekashi.
Tekashi 6ix9ine.
6ix9ine.
Really?
If you're gonna actually pronounce
Oh, that's
his
what.
name.
So what happened to him?
Tekashi 6ix9ine got beat up at a.
Oh, he got beat up.
He got jumped.
He got jumped.
I didn't know he was.
It was like two dudes
Yeah, at a South Florida gym.
in this video.
Well, you know he gonna get his ass beat probably multiple times for.
But I just want to know, where is all his security? Because usually he travels with an
He ain't got
entourage.
no money no more. Where's money coming
Nah,
from?
he probably had
ain't
a
got no money.
Well, if you believe social media, then he still got money.
He can't still have money.
I do, because sometimes he be on social media with like stacks of cash.
Really?
Like, where's his cash coming from? But he also be in really low budget homes at the same time that he's flashing all this cash.
Yeah. Yeah, like motherfuckers flashing cash ain't necessarily got it like that usually anyway. So
and then like Bootsy and a whole trail of other rappers, they're all
Chief
just talking trash
a little bit.
But no one really respects him anymore for quote unquote snitching.
Right.
Do you think he'll ever have a career again?
For sure. I think anyone's redeemable. I don't know.
Nah, I think his ship is sailed.
You
I
think
don't know.
so?
If he has a good beat, that's all he had normally was the good beats.
I never listened to him before.
I don't know what people were listening to when they were listening to him. I mean, it's just not for me. But but I feel like everybody's so quick to move on to the next thing anyway, and he was like the thing for a time, and now he's not the thing anymore. He's the past.
He's such a character.
He's a character.
I wouldn't even take him as a. He's not even a I don't want to say he's not a real person.
Like a walking, he's like a walking NFT.
Unfortunately, he got caught up in stuff that he probably shouldn't have got caught up in.
And evidently didn't know how to handle it.
Well, yeah, it was because of the image that he
was trying to
carried.
portray.
You know, like trouble finds you.
If I was him, I would just have my own personal gym and work out at home.
Yeah.
Like, why I need to work out?
Oh, yeah, that's right, because it wasn't a gym.
Yes.
I wouldn't go to no gym.
But do you all think that he's any different than a lot of these other rappers and or athletes who are perpetrating one life, trying to make money off another one? Because he's not really a gangster.
I think that's the way of life, though, right? It's not a healthy way, but how many times do people try to live above their means? People live above their means all the time. Regular ass people do that shit.
Well,
you know? And
it's lying about being a gangster is like hip hop culture.
I mean, he wasn't. It is, but he actually was part of the game.
Yeah.
So he wasn't lying about.
So he wasn't lying, but he was just talking way too reckless for somebody who really didn't want those kind. I mean, as far as we know, didn't want those kind of problems.
I agree with that.
Someone said, "OMG, you are living my dream, Selena." I don't know what that is. Someone said, "No, nah, he's done."
I don't know what dream I'm living.
Those likes for me.
Somebody tell me what dream I'm living. I need to know. And what's your name? Because I can't see your name.
So
it just says Facebook.
Donald Trump is supposed to get arrested sometime this week. Y'all care about it or not?
I heard
that
he said he was going to get arrested.
But it was
obviously,
but it was never. You can't trust anything he says.
Didn't he say by Tuesday?
Yesterday.
Okay, so he was supposed to get arrested yesterday.
And then the funniest thing after that was you just kept seeing these pictures on the internet of like Donald Trump running from the police.
I saw that.
AI generating them. There's like 70,000 pictures of that on the internet somewhere now.
I think he wants to go to jail, though.
I think
he wants to be arrested.
Doesn't even matter. I said
he doesn't want to go to jail.
Nobody wants to go to jail.
He wants to look like they're trying to throw him in jail.
Correct. So that
the people will show up and be like, "Oh,
absolutely,
don't do that to our guy."
He wants to be woe is me.
Yeah.
My thing is this: if it's not going to stop him from running to be president, does it really? Why even arrest him? Like, I just want him to be not to be able to run for president. If the arrest is going to stop that, then I'm all for it. But if not, who cares? Like, he gonna get off anyway.
Can a person who has been charged with a crime run for office?
I have no clue. I used to be able to say very confidently no, but the way all the shit he did when he was in office and he still didn't get removed.
Yeah,
I
don't know at this point.
If normal people can't even get a regular job if they have an arrest on their record, how can he be able to run for president? That doesn't make any sense. None. There should be higher requirements.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy, but I don't really care about Donald Trump.
Hey, Suki.
What was the other thing I saw? I saw in the news that Cardi B won her case, not a case, but the case against that social media person.
Yes, Tasha K.
Tasha K was upheld.
Yes, so she got to come up with all them coins, and
it was $4 million,
and she left the country to avoid it.
Who? Tasha K. So those who don't know Tasha K, I guess she has her. I don't really know who Tasha K is per se, but I guess she had her own platform and she was pretty much slandering Cardi B, saying stuff that wasn't true. And Cardi B came after, sued her, and I think Tasha K went to court trying to get it dismissed, and the judge upheld the ruling for the case to be pursued, continued. So,
but at what point can people not say their opinions and be sued for them? Like, shouldn't you be able to voice whatever opinion you have about whatever public figure?
You absolutely should be able to. I
was
just think it's
a journal. Like, what was this person's
She was
job?
like a podcaster,
or
like a
something.
YouTuber.
Maybe like, because as a YouTuber, you can kind of potentially fall in the realm of media, and I think media isn't allowed to just slander people. So
Tell
if you're
Fox
just,
News.
I think everyone knows Fox News is fake news at this point.
I think Fox News gets sued all the time, and I think they just got really good lawyers. They don't give a fuck.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
So be careful what y'all say out there, method heads. We don't want to. I mean, we ain't trying to get sued either, so I don't say too much.
I don't say nothing crazy about nobody that'll get me sued. I feel like, I'm gonna stop talking now because I might.
You might say something.
I like to hurt feelings a little bit, just a little bit, but I'm not gonna ever get sued.
He is not gonna get sued. I'm not gonna get sued. And with that, we're gonna get into what these people came here to talk about, these motherfucking triggers.
Hey.
Let's get into a method message.
Let's go.
So this week we are talking about triggers, emotional triggers, and all types of triggers. I guess the best thing to start off with was the definition of a trigger. By we know what they call a trigger. It says a trigger in psychology is a stimulus such as a smell, sound, or sight that triggers feelings of trauma. People typically use this term when describing post-traumatic stress, PTSD. A trigger is a reminder of a past trauma. This reminder can cause a person to feel overwhelming sadness, anxiety, or panic. And I would even include anger and frustration. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So how you want to start this off? Are you aware of your triggers? And if so, name two. Same thing for you, method heads. Are you aware of your triggers? And if so, name two of them.
I would say like one of mine would probably be I don't know if separation anxiety is the word for it, but probably like you could probably condense that into ghosting. Like when either a friend ghosts me, a person that's close to me, a significant other, so like that triggers me.
So my question,
me too.
I want to be petty.
I guess my follow-up question would be, if someone ghosts you, it makes you feel like you want to be petty. That's the trigger. So that's the reaction to the ghosting.
The reaction is almost automatically fuck you too. But I have to go back and basically reevaluate the situation with a cleaner mind, a non-emotional one, because emotion will put you right directly in your feelings.
Ghosting. Right. So ghosting makes you feel,
and your trigger response is to become petty.
Petty,
which is when the person texts you back, like act like you ain't.
Like bitch. Who the fuck is this? I deleted your number, motherfucker.
I'm busy.
Pretend you blocked them. Like, I blocked you. My bad. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Your number fell out of my phone.
I guess. I mean, what's the time limit on that though? Like some people ghosting
depends on the person.
To me, when I say ghosting,
depends on how much I fuck with you or how much I think I fuck with you. If I think I fuck with you and I ain't heard from you all day.
But see, to me, that's not ghosting. No, like I feel like ghosting for me.
It depends on the person.
To me, ghosting. I mean, I don't hear from you for 3-4 days. Mm-hmm. But I'm not a person who talks on the phone in general or texts a lot in general. Yeah. So most of the ghosting that I deal with is always in the dating realm. Right. It's like when women stop talking to me or if I stop talking to them, you know what I mean? So it's a period of time, then you try to come back. No, fuck that. Right. You know, but in general, I don't think my friends, I've never felt personally ghosted by friends.
Yeah. It depends on how tight we are. Because sometimes I think I've been tight with people, even family members. Right. And then you go to text them and they might not text you back for 24, 48, 72 hours. And it puts you in your feelings the longer time span is there. You're like, wait a minute. Didn't I text her 3 days ago? And then a week later you get a response, hey girl.
I just apologize when I do that. Remy, what's
you just apologize.
I'm like, damn. And because I think in my mind, I said, I'm gonna respond. Next thing I know, it's 24 hours, 2 days later. So I don't even text back. I just call them, but hey, saw you text me, or you called me. My bad. I apologize. Whatever reason, you know what I mean. So what's a trigger for you?
What is a trigger for me? Fuck. I guess I get triggered by rejection, like outright rejection.
What kind?
Like if I ask for something, and in my mind you're completely capable of doing this, but if you just be like, nah, I'm gonna be like, why? Why the fuck not? At least give me an explanation. If I can't get an explanation, like if you explain it to me and I get it, oh okay, because such and such and such. But if you like give me attitude or it's a problem, it's like, well, why?
So is that more of triggering being the word no? Is that the same thing?
Oh yeah, I mean,
I feel like that's being told no.
That sounds terrible.
I mean, I'm just asking.
This nigga don't like the word no. What's wrong with this nigga?
We'll see.
This motherfucker don't like the word no. No. It's not. Okay, I'll say this. I don't love the word no.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody does.
I don't love the word no, but I can handle no.
Yeah.
I just can't always handle I can't handle no, and then you tell me I can't ask questions after.
Yeah.
I got questions.
Why
You gotta
follow up.
No? Okay, that's cool. Why not? No? Okay. And then we'll move on.
So a trigger for me, and this is something that I try and have worked on, is I cannot stand when and I've said this before on the podcast, when someone is passive aggressive. Like it is a trigger for me. Like I will be like, I'm like, yo, like
Jay would be beating my ass.
I'm like, I will cut so many people off.
Wow.
Like, just tell me the fucking problem. Just tell me what's going on. Like, don't bring it up. Because the way I live my life is I really try to live in the moments. Mm-hmm. And so if something happens, I'd rather us try to come to a solution about it and move on. Because the next day, I'm not really trying to think about it. Right. And so if you are being passive aggressive and you're bringing this up a couple of days later or whatnot, it's a trigger for me.
Right.
And I initially I'm very quick to be like, man, I can't do this. Like, I'm not doing this. But that's something I'm trying to work on, because I understand that may not be the best reaction
to give somebody
against someone, because sometimes it's just they don't even know. And honestly, getting over being passive aggressive is that's not easy, you know.
I would say that, okay, so I'm passive aggressive, and I'm very well aware that I'm passive aggressive, but I am passive aggressive in situations where I don't feel emotionally safe. So if I feel like I can't emotionally express myself to somebody and they're shutting me down,
right,
passive aggressiveness comes as the relationship progresses.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. What type of dude you feel like you're dealing with in those situations? Like is he just not somebody who is emotionally available?
Generally, the main problem men have, I feel, in conversations with women is their ego. So if they could get outside of their ego and have a conversation where they don't feel like they're being attacked,
right?
I'm sharing information.
So
I'm serving up a plate of food, and I'm presenting it to you.
Yeah.
And I want you to look at it, and I want you to tell me what you think. I don't want you to attack the plate of food or throw it across the room. Like, I want you to look at it. Tell me honestly what your opinion is and what your take on things are. But a person shouldn't be attacked for simply just sharing their feelings.
Sometimes it's very okay.
Well, so in that sense, you could say his trigger is talking about feelings.
Correct.
Just talking about feelings.
Like,
why we always gotta get into the
correct, because it's equated into she don't like me. She don't like nothing about me. Right. I can't do anything right.
Yeah.
I can't make her happy. When really we're just having a conversation about you putting the toilet seat down. Like, yo.
It can be tough though. Like,
bro.
I had a friend, and I'm living this week, where I have a friend who wanted to spend more time with me. And I'm reading the text message, and I'm just like, I don't really want to spend more time, but I didn't want to hurt this person's feelings. And so I felt like I was being a little passive aggressive and just not saying how I felt because I don't want to hurt that person's feelings. So I think sometimes being passive aggressive comes to like, I don't know. So anyway, I ended up just saying how I felt, and I felt so much better afterwards.
Just be relief. Really.
Yeah, relief. Yeah.
And I think that's important because your friends, your significant others, people that are in your life, you should be able to speak your truth. So if you're asked to go somewhere, you should be able to say, no, I don't really feel like it this week. Maybe next week we can hug up.
100%.
And them to be okay with that.
But some people will get triggered by that. Oh, like, so another thing I noticed is when, for example, some people just need some me time, right? And if you tell your friend or your partner, your lover, hey, I just need some me time today. I don't feel like doing anything or seeing you. They take it personally. They get triggered. Oh, what did I do? Like, you didn't do anything.
I got a story about that.
Go ahead and tell it.
So,
well, you don't think that you never
yes and no,
that?
because men will say, I need some me time, and you like, okay, cool. And then they end up texting you later and telling you they got 5 friends over and they're all playing, some video game. And you're like, wait a minute, I thought you needed me time.
I needed just not you and me time. I needed somebody else.
True.
Yeah. Like, why couldn't you just tell me the truth? Just tell me you want to hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
That's one. Yeah.
So what's your story, Remy?
So when me and Rhonda first started dating or whatever, when we first started hanging out, by the time we got to the point where we were kind of hanging out at each other's places, one of the first times where I was hanging out with her at her place, her energy was just real fucked up one day, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
what's going on? And it took some prying because she's just not the type to just kind of talk about her shit or whatever.
Yeah.
So after like digging a little bit, she was like, I kind of just thought I was gonna be alone today.
Oh.
And I was like, so I was triggered by the energy.
Yeah.
And then once we had that conversation, I got it. I was like, oh, okay. Like, honestly, I get that you need your you time. That's not something that I fully understand, especially not in this phase of a relationship. Yeah. But I get that people have that. So
yeah,
I'll catch you later.
Is quality time your love language?
Yeah, it's up there. I think it's up there. It's probably higher than most of them.
But when we talk about triggers, everybody has them, right?
Oh, for sure.
They can be whatever.
Yeah.
But like, say, Jay, is your trigger my responsibility or is it yours?
It's a good question. So I feel like the trigger is my responsibility to make you aware that something you did or something you said triggered me. But I don't think it's your responsibility to own it. I still have to own it and work on not being so triggered by it. But I do believe that the moment it brought to your attention that this is something that triggers you, that your partner should work on not doing those things.
They have a responsibility.
They have a responsibility not to initiate that trigger.
So I'm talking about triggers in every facet. So like, even if it's a friend, if it's a relative, if it's a coworker, you would expect them to continually remember 100%. All of their friends' triggers, all of their families. I don't
care about nobody else's trigger. But if you my person,
really,
and you my family, you close, and we're close, then yes, I expect you to know it. Now, even with family, if family's on the outskirts, it's not, I don't really care what they think.
People in that realm of your life, if they like trigger you, you just kind of don't see them no more. Like, you trigger me one time and I'm probably never gonna see you again. Whereas when you talking about like your inner circle, your people, your person, your partner, whoever, you're more sensitive to that. So it's like, if this is something that we've talked about like a bunch of times now, and you're like just kind of like doing whatever as if we didn't have these 5 conversations or these 5 arguments or whatever, like, then I feel like you're trying to piss me off.
I see what you're saying.
Then that's when that conversation starts.
Yeah. So what's the process for y'all when you become triggered? So something happens, you get triggered. What's the process? What happens?
Burn this motherfucking house down.
No.
Is that your first reaction?
I mean, not all the time. I'm better now, but
yeah,
I definitely I don't handle being upset like well. So I need something. Like I need something after that.
What?
I prefer an apology. That's what I want the most. But you know, I gotta be able to communicate with that person. And sometimes in that moment, I can't communicate in a healthy way to that person. I'm triggered. I'm about to talk some shit, and I ain't getting no apology if I talk shit.
So for me, just to give you an example, my process when I feel triggered is the first thing I say to myself: Am I tripping?
That's what I
say. Or is it a real trigger, right? And I try to catch myself before I find getting myself to the point of going down a deeper rabbit hole.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone does something or says something, I'm like, okay, am I tripping or is it a real trigger? Right? And if it's a real trigger, then I have a conversation. Might not be right then and there, because I got it. Like you said, sometimes you got to take some time to step away or whatnot. But typically I'm like, okay, hey, this thing you said or the thing you did, it's not big to you, or it's small to you, but it's big to me. It kind of triggers me. And so, for example, I remember dating someone, and she kept on saying, like in text conversation, "Oh, I had the conversation before with Remy." She kept on saying, "Oh, that's cute." So I would be like, "Oh, I really want to see you." "Oh, that's cute," right? And so now, that feels triggered. It triggered me. It triggers me.
Yeah, because are you laughing at me?
They're like, bitch, I ain't trying to be cute.
Yeah.
Are you being serious?
Exactly.
Like, that's not a response.
It's something very small, but to her, she didn't mean it in a condescending way.
But that's how you.
But from my experiences, all that's cute is a very condescending that word or saying. So I was like, hey, listen, I'm not. Maybe we can try using a different word because this word makes me feel some kind of way. And she didn't understand it. And she was like, well, I'm just talking. I'm just being myself. I can't be myself. I was at that moment, that's kind of when I realized like, oh, okay, this might not be someone I can really fuck with. Because if you come to me and tell me
she got personal.
that I said something or something that doesn't mean she doesn't have to own it. But I need you to be aware of it and try. Because if you tell me, I'm like, oh, all right, I got you. I'm gonna try something different. So anyway, that's kind of my process. So what's the process when you get triggered? What happens? What goes through your mind?
Well, I'm a girl, so because of that,
fuck all this shit up.
Because of that, I'm like, I'm generally like, I'll say the same thing that you say. I'll ask myself, am I tripping? Did I take this wrong? Then I will usually enlist someone who has known me for a really long time, and I'll call that friend.
For sure.
And if I'm talking about a mutual friend or a friend that they don't know, I never give them the name.
Yeah.
I just be like, yo, so this happened. What you think?
Yeah.
To just check myself to see, am I tripping?
Right.
You know, to get confirmation. And then if I hear, no, girl, you ain't tripping. Okay, I'm probably gonna have to have a conversation. And I have become over the years non-confrontational. I used to embrace confrontation, but now I don't.
This sound like our co-host over here.
Man, I used to embrace confrontation, like, let's go have a conversation.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I gotta tell this person.
Yeah.
You know, and I dread it. But I will pick up the phone, or either I am a texter, so nothing is off limits to me in texting. But I have noticed.
You better not text me a whole ass conversation.
Man,
be mad at me.
People text me whole 100-page letters in text messaging. I do think some things get lost in translation because
for sure.
You don't know the emotional state and you don't know the context in which some of the meaning is. So sometimes it's good to talk over the phone because you can get somebody's emotional standing from having that actual conversation. But I usually check myself, and I try to, if I have to approach that person and have a conversation, I want it to be in a rational place. Yeah. I don't want to be moving with so much emotion that they don't hear me.
I also ask myself, how important is this person?
Yeah.
Because if they're not, like, I can be triggered by different people at different times.
Do I really give a fuck? With
that part.
Do I
give a fuck about this person's opinion? And if they're not important to me, I don't say anything at all. What you write down, Remy? So you write down a note.
Oh, I didn't write anything.
Oh, you were getting ready to?
Thinking out loud.
So, what type of work have you done or recommend people to do for triggers? What kind of work have you done? Like, so let's say you are aware of your triggers, and method heads, you're aware of your triggers. What kind of work have you done to overcome those triggers?
I think just getting better at communication with people is super important, and getting comfortable with yourself and knowing yourself and knowing what you do and don't like, the types of behaviors that turned you off. Because sometimes, like you said before, like knowing whether or not you want to fuck with that person is super important, because sometimes people can trigger you and it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. You're like, that person rubbed me the wrong way, but they ain't my friend, so I don't care. You know, and you can keep it pushing, and you could still be cordial, still meet that person, you know, in events and be like, hey, how you doing? Because that person is not your friend. They're not your people. They just somebody you know. That's
true. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. What I'm asking you directly is, what kind of work have you done about your triggers? So you know,
taking pause is super important. I used to be the type of person that would move with my temper instead of moving with my head. So I think now I move more and I think about it before I do anything. Jumping to conclusions right from the jump sometimes will put you in the wrong space.
Gotcha.
And I'm not trying to be physical with anybody. I'm too old for that shit.
Yeah, I ain't fighting nobody.
You know, if we can't have a conversation and express our feelings to one another, you aren't somebody that needs to be in my circle anyway.
Yeah, I think for me, I think about my triggers, and the triggers I've worked on in my life is I try to always make sure. So, okay, this is a trigger I have. I need to make sure that I can find a way to not. If I used to trigger at level 10, I want to get to a level 2. Right. And the best way that I can do that is asking myself, is there any truth to what they're saying? And if there's any truth to it, then I say, okay, well, how can I heal from this hurt, this pain that has been caused? And I just try to be aware of it. When I get triggered, or I feel myself getting triggered, I stop myself, like you said, pause, and I take a step back, and either I remove myself from the conversation, or I say, hey, can we just move to a different conversation or a different topic, because this is not working for me.
Some reflection.
I mean? Yeah, so I think reflection is a big thing about it, and then just learning to be like, you know what, that doesn't have to be any truth to it about my life. I remember used to always getting triggered about like finances and like, you know, women on social media, not all women, obviously, talking about like a man has to make a certain amount of money this, money that. It used to always trigger me, right?
Trigger you? Well, how? Just
for trigger me, like make me feel like that's bullshit. That ain't how it works. This is making me frustrated and angry, because I'm like, that's not how a true relationship should be focused on. So anytime this is years ago, saw conversations about a real man does this, the real man does that. It's just like, I felt like, I'm gonna block this person because whatever, you know, but so I had to learn to be like, you know what, they're not talking about me.
Right.
I had to learn, it's this
generalization.
Yeah. And I had to be comfortable and happy in my own life about my finances, no matter where I was, and just go and find the women or woman who fuck with me at the level I was at. Right. So, Remy, have you done any kind of work? What kind of work do you do when it comes to your triggers?
He smoked weed.
I kind of trust.
He do.
Listen, she ain't never lied.
That's a trigger. I mean, that's healing for some people.
It is. It probably mellows them out. Or does it make you more argumentative?
It makes me more argumentative in a different kind of way. Like,
be like, the argument lasts for 5 hours because you high.
I get high.
But I feel like I articulate myself a little better with less of the emotion invested into it, and more like I can say what I want to say. without just being like motherfucker this. Like I don't even necessarily have to cuss. I'll say everything that I'm thinking outright and try to get that off. You know, just to feel like I'm fully communicating. Anyway, what's the question? Let me focus.
No, it's all good. So heal. Like we want to heal from our triggers. We don't want to always be triggered.
This is what I was gonna say. So yes, you right. But this is me. All right. I'm a little toxic. I can admit that. But I don't feel like I've healed a lot from a lot of my triggers because I trust a lot of my triggers. Like the things that I feel trigger me. I don't feel like I've had a lot of altercations with people where I was like, I probably shouldn't have did that, or that I took an L on that. I fucked up.
Switch the camera. So they can see him.
Damn. So I don't feel like I've taken a lot of L's and like altercations and things like that. Like obviously in relationships, you know, you kind of some things go too far or whatever. But even in those moments, I feel like I learned something, but I still kind of need that trigger because I could have been wrong. Like you don't know. So you're saying I don't feel like I've been in
you're saying your trigger is like your
like
gut reaction. It's like your what they women call it, intuition.
Yeah, because I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm that easily triggered.
Yeah.
I feel like I can be pushed a lot. Like I feel like I'm pretty, especially in relationships, I feel like I'm pretty tough. And then after like maybe like the fourth or fifth time, I'm like, you're gonna stop talking to me like that.
For sure.
That's enough of that. So yeah. But I do feel like there are triggers I probably need to work on. I don't think that I'm aware of all my triggers. I think there's a lot of like ghost triggers that I have. You know what I mean? Like I don't know everything that triggers me.
I think I'm triggered. Like I'm just in having this conversation.
Triggered?
I'm triggered by people, especially males.
Especially
don't use the word male. You better call me a man. Don't say male.
She said male. You might as well call us bears or dogs.
Men?
If I said
Men.
if I said females,
gentlemen,
females out here.
Gentlemen.
That doesn't bother me. It bothers some women. It doesn't bother me.
Gentlemen.
Male doesn't bother me either. Go ahead.
Men, when men gaslight
actually high
me,
value male is what I prefer. High value male. That's what I want.
Listen, that's a stupid term. But anyway, men
HVM, please.
Men who gaslight me during arguments are probably the worst.
So
that's a whole podcast.
I get triggered so badly that I emotionally shut down. Like I just stop talking. My eyes get glazed over. Like, okay, so I'm crazy.
Can I?
That's where this conversation is going. Especially like when you know, person A was at place C, but they're telling you they weren't at place C, but 10 people put them in place C.
I'll be triggered by it.
And it's like, am I crazy?
Right.
Are we having this conversation?
You know what else?
And you're like, yes, you're really having this conversation.
Yeah, like somehow you turn into fucking Shaggy talking about it wasn't me. Nigga, it's on camera. Like everybody knows.
Right.
And I know. Don't only don't know who you was at that time. Like what's up with that?
You know what else triggers me?
What
else?
People who don't know how to say I am sorry.
Oh. So women
I get so triggered. I'm like, bro, like I will block you and remove you from everything in this very moment.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
I'm sorry. Like Remy, like that's one of the reasons I've been. My homeboys be like, man, they ain't gonna do that. You might as well go and give up. I'm like, nah, the woman for me is gonna be okay saying, I'm sorry. I was wrong.
It's hard.
Are you encountering women that don't want to apologize?
Every single one.
For whatever reason, there are a lot
of y'all.
There are a lot of women out there
so many.
who don't feel like they are ever wrong. They're always right. And so they would rather just not apologize.
I'm sorry just to say I'm sorry. I will say I'm sorry
I ain't doing that.
If somebody's feelings is hurt, like if they're a close friend of mine or a significant other, and they genuinely felt some kind of way about something that I did, even if my intention was never to hurt that person, the first go-to is I'm sorry that I made you feel that way.
For sure.
Like because that wasn't my intention. I apologize.
As
for
it
that.
should. As we should.
Like it.
Can I have a piece of paper towel?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Are y'all the type of person that when you see someone's triggers? No. Are you the type of person that when you see someone triggers, you say something or leave it alone. So you are seeing other people's triggers. So whether it's a friend, family, a person you're dating, and you say, and they might not even say that it's a trigger, but you've done, let's say multiple things have happened. And you're like, oh, this is a trigger for this person.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'll look at that person.
Do you say
like, you
say something, or do y'all just be like, "Ooh, I'm just gonna leave that alone"?
It depends on the relationship with that person,
right?
In all honesty, because that's going to gauge how deep my empathy runs. Like I'm always gonna feel bad for somebody who's triggered by something extra traumatic. Yeah. But if I'm around a friend that I know every single thing triggers them. Because I have friends that are triggered by almost everything. Like literally, you could be around people who are triggered by the color blue or by the smell of barbecue. Like they're triggered by so many different things. Is it my job?
I just came up with a backstory for the person you just talked about.
Said, shadow work.
That's a blood. That's a blood that got shot at a barbecue.
Justin said he's triggered by conversations about being triggered.
Mm-hmm.
You need some help.
Justin is triggered like a motherfucker right now. We all triggered, baby. It's gonna be all right.
I think that if you have really,
I've been triggered since 2020.
Mass trigger me.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I think when I see someone's triggers, to your point, I think it really depends on the level of friendship.
Yeah.
About that to them, and I would hope that my friends are comfortable enough, because sometimes people honestly aren't aware that they're being triggered. Mm-hmm. They just know that their energy has changed, and you're just like, oh, this person is really
flip
the script
is.
On me.
She said there's a difference between being triggered and phobias, as well as threats.
I would agree. So I think I would definitely say I'm not the type. I'm probably the type to leave it alone the first time. Right? Oh, it's a person. Okay, I see. They are definitely triggered. I'm not going to say anything right now because I'm going to let them be. Right? But if it continues to affect our energy together the next time, then I'm definitely going to be like, hey, it seems like, because really the way you can't just say, hey, I see you triggered right now. Motherfucker, what you mean I'm triggered? I ain't triggered.
Triggered ass motherfucker.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think it depends on how you approach that conversation, because it's not an easy conversation to talk to someone about their energy being angry or funky or shitty or changing
or
off based on you doing something or saying something.
Triggers are deep, man.
But I think now, like even now, like you've said multiple times that you feel you don't feel necessarily comfortable in large crowds. Mm-hmm. If we were at a place and there was a large crowd and you were standing against the wall, I'd probably walk over and be like, you good? Just because I know.
Yeah.
Like you might feel uncomfortable at some point. But I feel like that's normal when you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's so Rhonda is triggered by crowds as well. So pretty much anytime we're out, I have to like check on her on a regular basis. Or, it'll be a lot. Like, for example, I did shrooms recently.
I was going to ask you about it, but I didn't know if I would.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in method lessons. We'll talk about what I learned about myself.
Okay. So I got a ton of questions on here, man, to talk about method heads. How y'all feeling about triggers, man? Who are triggered more, women or men?
Both, but I want to say women just because we're more emotional beings, but men have tons of triggers too, because I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I think it's really very variable.
Yeah. I think that men and women are triggered equally, but I feel like women express those triggers or show those triggers more than what men do. Right? I think men can tend to be very non-emotional about their triggers. So when they're triggered, they don't say anything. They just kind of like, you all right? Yeah, I'm good. And so I think if more men express their change of energy about being triggered, I think you will see that it's pretty equal.
Somebody said men trigger way more.
Because I feel like I agree with that in certain circumstances, because I do believe that men are, you said they're not emotional, but I really think that you guys are.
I said, yeah.
You guys are.
We are
heavily emotional, and it comes out only in certain areas.
Right.
But it's definitely there.
Oh, I agree. I definitely agree. Where do y'all think triggers come from? Where are triggers?
Trauma.
What kind of trauma though?
I think it could come from
all of it.
Relationships. It could definitely come from having a partner that cheated on you, having somebody who lied.
If somebody broke your heart with something, that becomes a trigger.
Yeah, because now you're in a new relationship and your expectations are still with your ex, and you're expecting them to do the same things. Both men and women do this.
Yeah.
Bad relationships with family members can cause you to have not so great relationships with in-laws because your expectations are already low from the family that you already have. Like there's a lots of things I think that happen to us even in our childhood that we carry on into adulthood. It's knowing the things that you've been through and being able to address them, and not, I'm not another trigger for me is people who are highly sensitive and they don't address their issues. It's hard for me because I run the other way.
We'll talk about it. Give me a second. But I think most of our triggers definitely come from our childhood experiences.
Yeah.
I think that, whether it's someone not spending time with you because your mother, your dad was never there. So it triggers you when your partner doesn't give you attention, right?
Right.
Maybe you're triggered by someone talking sternly at you.
I had a dad talk to you that way, so you don't like it.
I had an ex who, if I ever started cussing, whenever I started using profanity, as soon as the cuss words came out, she was like, "There's no more conversation. We're not talking anymore because I'm triggered."
Well, I talk an F word.
Yes. So. Me too. I was like, you're gonna have to get these words. I don't know what you like. I'm not throwing them at you. If I don't say these words, I'll probably burn this house down. I have to say the words.
Well, no, I get it. 100%.
It's not cussing at you. It's cussing with you. We're in an argument together.
Yes, this is a conversation. You can cuss too. Let's both cuss. Let's say the same cuss words at the same time.
I don't mind someone cursing.
Just as long as they're not calling you like names, right?
Yeah, don't call me names and don't yell. Because if you yell at me, I'm just gonna sit. So here's talk about being petty. So when someone's yelling, I'm now I'm getting a little triggered. So I'm not listening to you,
right?
And now I'm just gonna be smiling at you because I'm not gonna say anything. What you smiling at?
Shit!
That's the danger zone, boy.
Wait,
that's the danger zone.
I'm waiting for you to stop yelling because right now I don't hear shit you saying.
Let me tell you something. If I do that today, I will not survive the night.
I'm not saying that's a very good thing.
I'm not saying
it's a good thing.
Let me tell you what happens.
You do that at your own discretion because literally you'll probably die.
She looks at me and she's like, "Nigga, you think this is funny? This is funny to you? Oh, you think it's a joke that I'm pissed off? Like, then it's a wrap for me."
Yeah. But don't yell at me though.
Oh yeah.
Don't yell.
Yelling usually ensues when two people are not hearing one another. So I tend to raise my voice.
I will raise my voice when I feel like you're not
when I feel like I'm not being heard. Like all you have to do is acknowledge, I'll move the fuck on.
Especially when you like going back and forth with somebody, because then it's like now I gotta talk over you in order to talk to you.
What I've learned, that's what I actually don't do that. I'm so happy. This is growth for me.
That is growth. I want to be grow up.
I would let people get off,
right?
But you're gonna get off. So when I have an issue, I literally talk to my people like this. Like, hey, listen. So this is my opinion on blah 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 blah. I don't go up here. I don't go down here. And sometimes that could trigger people because they want you to react
right
when you're
the way you are, right? Because you don't care. You're not emotional. No, I care a lot. I care so much that I'm talking to you with respect and a calm voice so that we can get to a solution about this. Because if you yell and not listen,
I think that's bomb though, because I think that every relationship you have, so especially one with a significant other, there should be a really good balance. So if you have somebody who's super high strung, who's super vocal, being with somebody who's somewhat quiet,
hit that like button, y'all. Hit that like button.
It's actually a good thing. So when you are arguing, your arguing is fair.
Yeah.
Because I can't stand low blows and like
don't
people
give
that
me a
don't
low
know
blow.
how to fight.
Do
like,
not give me a low blow
because that is a trigger.
It is now. There is no coming back from a low blow.
If you
Spinning
go
back
to the
fist.
ground,
There's
I'm
no
going to
coming
hell.
back.
Like we going to hell together. Because I'm gonna say some dirty
I am
shit.
not Michelle and Barack Obama.
That's like
I am not going high.
That's like you in a boxing match and this nigga kick you and you like, oh, we fighting then. All right.
Like I didn't know, but
like,
now
okay,
I know.
I'm coming for the drop kick. No more gloves.
Mm-hmm.
If you go low, because listen, man, words hurt, right?
If you go low, I'm going for the foot sweep.
If you say something, you can't take that shit back, man.
Yeah.
Like you can apologize, but if you say something that
Truly messed up.
Yeah, that you know is like a insecurity or something that for your partner, you be like, that's why you can't grow no fucking hair. Oh.
Or that's why you ain't got no dick.
Oh, damn.
Say some fucked up shit.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's then you try to roll over and go to sleep.
That's
you
why
can't even sleep
that's why your pussy loose.
Yep. And that's some shit that when you go to sleep,
Nah, I ain't never said that. I ain't never said that shit.
That's so dirty.
That's why your pussy is trash. Trash pussy.
I ain't never said that.
Like,
I would never. You would never.
Nice.
You would
like
not get that pussy
you
ever
would never,
again.
That's what I was about to say. You would
Relationship.
never ever hit it.
You would never get it again.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
So it's an interesting question I wrote down. Are people of color easily triggered by racial injustices or things that borderline being racist?
Yeah.
Yes, we're highly intuitive and we're highly sensitive in those areas.
Are we overly sensitive to?
I don't think we're sensitive enough.
Okay.
I don't think we're sensitive enough.
Okay. Remy?
I don't know.
You don't know? Come on, man. What do you mean?
I mean,
because there are times where I feel like Black Twitter is overreacting. You know, I'm like, oh, are we really upset about this? Because like people right now are trying to. At one point, they're trying to bring up shit about Tropic Thunder again with Robert Downey Jr. No, it's on TikTok again. I'm like, y'all, like no black person who watched it during that time was offended because we understood the whole point about it. So why are we bringing this up and trying to have this issue with Robert Downey Jr. playing this role? Like it wasn't a big deal. Like we get it. It's not. So why are we triggered right now?
I do understand that times have changed, and therefore people need to allow certain things that have not allow them. They've already happened. So we allowed them to happen when they did. People need to let certain things go. That movie was funny as fuck.
That movie was funny. The airplane coach.
It was funny as fuck.
TikTok.
His whole character was funny.
Yeah.
Which is
why it's okay. Because if it's not funny, we're gonna remember it and be like, what the fuck?
I'm a black dude playing a black dude. It was
it was very good. It was very well done.
And I didn't feel offended in the least.
No. It was to me it was less like making fun of black people and more like an homage to black people. You know what I mean? Like it was as much as somebody like Robert Downey Jr. could do.
But more than anything,
to be like, I fuck with black people.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like more than anything, it was taking a dig at Hollywood about putting white characters.
That's exactly what it was. It was a commentary.
Roles.
Yeah, which that's part of why it worked, is it was like he wasn't a real character.
No.
he was just something to make fun of.
Yeah, for sure.
It was dope though. That movie was good.
It was. What's the difference between being triggered and tripping? What's the difference between being triggered and just tripping?
He said he was going to call me at 2, but he called me at 8, and I'm tripping. Like, I'm triggered because he didn't keep his timestamp, but he was busy. Like, some things you're triggered by, I understand, but in my mind, they're not valid. And I have a right to my opinion.
Yeah, if you triggered and you can find your way out of it, but you choose violence, you tripping.
Yeah.
Like if you could have been like, you know what, it's straight, whatever. But if you decided, you know what, it's on, fuck it, we doing this tonight. Let's do it. Yeah, you a little toxic.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like tripping.
I feel like people need to heal from their own triggers, though. Yeah. Like I just don't want to carry everybody's trigger on my back because that's too much baggage for me to carry. It's too much baggage for one person.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have 10 triggers.
People have to really work on themselves.
You got to do the work. You need to work on understanding why you're triggered and healing from that trauma, because trauma or trigger is coming from a past trauma, right? And so what event in the past caused you to have this traumatic experience? And how do you heal from that event and the things that come from that?
Sometimes I don't think you'll ever heal, because remember we talked about, you said how one of your toxic traits is you forgive all the time.
I said one of my non-toxic traits
is that you want to forgive everybody.
I forgive everyone, yeah.
Okay, so I have the same trait, but that just comes from, it's stemming from my parents who I felt didn't forgive enough.
Yeah.
So I overly do it to keep people in my life, but sometimes those people that I'm holding on to keep in my life shouldn't hold a position in my life.
Right.
For sure.
Because I should have stopped forgiving them maybe 10 times ago.
10 times
So
ago.
I have to tell myself, like, you deserve more than this type of love.
Oh, for sure.
But that's the type of love that I'm used to getting because that's my childhood.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I understand where it comes from. I can look at myself now being older and saying, oh, this is why I suffer from separation anxiety, is because my parents kicked me out. They didn't really kick me out, but they let me leave at 16 years old.
Yeah.
You know, so I have...
They kicked her ass out.
I have issues like with people just disappearing out of my life. I don't know if it's an expectation, like I feel like they're eventually going to leave or eventually not be there. You know, I always have that kind of like in the back of my mind, but that stems from my childhood and relationships I had in my own home. So I understand and I acknowledge it. And I try to be as transparent as I can with anybody who's in my life so that they'll know. But that doesn't necessarily guarantee that they're going to treat me accordingly, because that would mean that they would have to remember. And so I can't put that responsibility on them. But when they do something that triggers me in a way that's, for me, negative, I can either choose to let it roll off my back and tell myself, you good? Or I can approach that person. If it's a trigger that's high enough on my little radar,
I think it's a level set the level of expectation, right? I think sometimes we have this high expectation of other people. They should know better, they should do better. But sometimes people are who they are, right? And so I think that we have to give people the opportunity. No one is just going to change overnight. Mm-hmm. So if someone tells me that this is a trigger of theirs and I talk this way or I move this way and I've been moving this way or talking this way all my life, I'm probably going to fuck up again.
Yeah.
Right? And people need to have
the expectation.
The expectation, like, all right,
that you're not perfect.
Give them a chance to change over time to understand this is a trigger for me. And just let them do better. Now you can't do it every week, right? So yeah. Let's see what we got over here. Have y'all been able to find? Oh, we just talked about that. So positive triggers, is that a real thing? Are positive triggers a real thing? And what would be an example? So I do think that positive triggers are a wrong thing, because I think when we think about triggers, we're always thinking about the negative side of it. Mm-hmm. But when I think about positive triggers, I think about doing things that bring forward positive feelings and thoughts and other actions. So like if you enjoy, going to the beach or going to sitting by water or meditating. So it's like to have a better week. So maybe you set the expectation, okay, Monday I'm going to go meditate outdoors. Oh, and now I feel positive. I'm positively triggered to have a better mindset for the rest of the week. So I do think positive triggers
absolutely
are real.
Oh yeah. I think too, when you communicate those to your partner, like the person that you're with, and you tell your partner like you really love something or you really enjoy this, and they go out of their way to do it, it fulfills you in a way that nothing else does.
Yeah, it lets you know you've been heard.
Matter.
I see what you're saying.
You matter.
So you're saying someone else doing something can positively trigger you to feel better about the relationship.
Absolutely.
Or about the next whatever going forward. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's true. That could be definitely a positive trigger. And like if they know, like I think stuff like buying the little things they like if they like a certain coffee a certain way,
right?
And I know they're at home on a Saturday. I'm out running errands. I come back with her favorite kind of coffee or whatnot. Yeah. I imagine that's a positive trigger.
That's a positive trigger.
I would think, but I guess it depends.
So something,
it depends on the person, yeah.
And something that's free, like I know she's coming home today and she had a long day. She told me her day sucked. Let me run her a bath real quick.
Yeah.
And it's ready when she walks in the door. Like just small things. It doesn't even require people spending money. It could even be she had a rough week this week. She really likes this stupid show. I'm gonna watch it with her.
For sure.
I'm gonna tell her, come on, let's watch it.
So it sounds like you kind of just hit two love languages, which was acts of service and then quality time. Yeah. So I feel like depending on what your love language is, that could determine like what your positive trigger might be. Or I'm also thinking positive trigger could be like a turn on. You know what I mean?
That too.
Even if it's not necessarily sexual, but it's something that kind of just like you feel fulfilled
for sure
for receiving this from your person or your people or even yourself. You know what I mean? Whoever the fuck is doing it.
Yes. Like if you really like your man when he wears a suit and he decided to take you out to dinner and wear a suit.
Right. I never understood why people always like they get upset when they say like, oh, he bought me this, but I don't really like it. Or he bought this perfume, but I don't really like it. I don't want to wear it. But your man or your woman is asking you to wear it, but you don't want to wear it. Like, why wouldn't you not want to do it? Like, I just feel like
I don't get that either. Like, because even if you don't like it, if he like it,
and we all people are, I shouldn't have to compromise, right? Oh. So now you're triggering me because you never wear the shit I like, right? If I agree with you. If I have I have my cologne, right? I have a certain cologne I wear, but if my woman bought me a cologne
it was like,
that I said I care about,
so good.
But when I wear it, it makes her become closer to me. Then I'm gonna wear that fucking cologne. Right. I might not wear it every day,
but I'm gonna wear it
when I wear it. She's gonna be like, "Oh, you got my perfume on."
Jay's like, "I'm gonna wear it on the days I'm trying to fuck."
100%, 100%.
That's how she know.
Or like if your woman always wears it, like you say, you like when a man wears a certain suit. If I buy you, you wear a dress, I'm like, damn. That dress looks sexy as fuck on you.
Yeah.
Right?
Wear it again, girl.
Wear it again. But you never want to wear it. Like, why would you not want to do that?
Wear that goddamn dress.
I don't know. Who are you dating?
I'm not saying. No, I'm talking in general. Okay. But there are people out there who don't want to compromise or do the thing that their partner like. You don't have to do it all the time.
Those are people that don't need to be in a relationship.
But that could be very triggering for people. It's like, well, damn, he don't do nothing I like. You
have to understand when you're in a relationship, you have two people. So you have one person that thinks one way and another person that thinks the other way. And a relationship should be on equal footing. So if your man buys you a dress, even if you don't love it, if he love it, like I love you in this dress, let me put on some shoes that I really like with this mug. And let me put some earrings that I really like. I'm gonna do my makeup the way I want it. He's gonna be happy with just the little thing.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't even like. It's all about you just pay attention, right? If someone buys you something that you normally don't like, and they say, "Oh, I thought you would look good in this," or "I thought you would smell good in this," then that's a key. That's a cue to like, oh, this is what they like.
Yeah.
Right. And again, even if so it just depends, man.
So I got two positive triggers.
Okay.
That stem off that concept.
Yeah.
So when my girl
cooks for you.
No. Well, no.
You like food.
When she comes to me, like when she's about to get dressed and go out with me or whatever, and she comes to me and she asks me what I think.
Yeah.
Like that for me is a positive trigger because it's like, oh, okay, you want to look nice for me. You know what I mean? And you value my opinion. Like it's a lot of good energy.
For sure.
So also I think a positive trigger for me is when I wear something that I know that I think she's gonna like, that I know she likes, or that she got from me, or whatever, and then she makes mention of it, or she compliments me about it. She's like, "Oh, you smell good today," or whatever it is. I fuck with that because it's like, like I'm conjuring good energy
for sure.
So those are positive triggers for me.
Because I think a lot of times, like those positive triggers like that, and obviously we just talking about like in relationships, but if your love language is like physical touch, okay, and you wear a cologne or you get your hair cut a certain way or you wear whatever, makes your woman or your man
it accentuates that.
Be more close to you and touching you. That's gonna make you feel more positive or more happy about the relationship. So
it's affirming the relationship, really. And then you're like, oh, I'm gonna wear this more often, or I'm gonna do this more often.
Yeah.
Have you ever dated someone who didn't want to do things like that for y'all, or they're just like stuck in their own ways?
Yes.
Yeah. Any examples, like any scenarios of like, damn, like I'm asking for just the bare minimum, and you can't even, you don't even want to do that.
I think I'm like most women, because I think most women, when you're in a relationship, there's like this nurturing aspect of your personality that begins to come out, and you want to do things for the person that you're with, whether it's buying them cologne, pieces of clothing, things that you think that they'll like.
Yeah.
But also it's like things with their style, but with your style mixed in, that you go and purchase. Because when you look at things in the store, you're like, oh, he would like this. He would look dope in this. I'm going to get this for him.
Yeah.
You know, he's always in your thoughts in everything that you do. So I think that's just a part of who we are as women. We want to see whoever we're with look nice. And we were attracted to that person at the very beginning, and the attraction really hasn't stopped. And we just want to continue that. Men, I don't say that they're like always that way. They don't always necessarily buy clothes or things that you would like. I think a lot of times what happens with men, unfortunately, is they will walk in the store and buy the first thing that they see and don't put a whole lot of thought into it. And it's like, yo, but you'll meet, you know, some man that is a metrosexual. He's into clothing. He's like, I saw this and was like, yo, you would look good in this. But most men, they don't do that. They walk in the store and they're like, oh, I'll just get this.
I try to buy things that bring them all together that I see that she stops at. Right. I don't say anything. I just like take mental notes. I'm like, oh, she stopped right there. She's looking at that. Because she wouldn't stop there if that wasn't something that interests her. And then I might try to buy that as a surprise.
That's good.
Later on. You know what I
good.
mean? But there are times where I definitely want to buy things that I think my woman will be sexy in. Like I love women in heels. And I understand that sometimes heels, obviously they're not good for, you know, women's knees and whatnot. But
who said that?
It's not.
But heels is all right.
So yeah. So there's definitely some positive triggers out there. I think we all should do those. Anything else about triggers, whether negative triggers or just random conversation about triggers? Any final thoughts on triggers?
Heavy triggers. I think if you know that you have some really heavy triggers, you shouldn't just seek guidance from yourself. You probably need to seek professional help, you know, to work through some of those triggers. And I dislike and love the word healed all at the same time, because I don't think that anybody is going to be 100% healed from anything. We're going to be somewhat healed, but we're always going to carry things with us our whole entire life. It's just how we choose to handle the situations that we are confronted with. And I think sometimes we need help in how we handle those situations. And I think that getting help and talking to somebody is not a bad thing. So if you're out there and you have triggers that are harder for you to deal with, or you don't know how to cope with those triggers, you should definitely seek some professional counselors that can help you to work out those particular issues, but never ever think that you're going to be 100% healed. Some things you will carry on your back until you die. And that's okay, because we all go through pain in our life, but suffering is definitely an option. We choose to continue to suffer, and we need tools so that we don't suffer from the pain that we've been through.
I think there's different levels of being triggered. You know, I think there are some triggers that we definitely
are lighter
and we can heal from. Like, I've definitely healed from most of my triggers, and that's just because I no longer associate myself with those particular characteristics that used to trigger me. And I just think that all about growth, man, and talking and working through your shit, owning your shit, and like, you should definitely communicate to people about your triggers. Like, one thing I don't really care for is people who get mad at you for saying something or doing something that's a trigger for them, but you weren't ever aware that it was a trigger. Right?
They get mad at you. Wait, say that again?
Or that, like, they react. They react because not intentionally, but it's a trigger for them. And they're triggered, and they get defensive or whatnot.
And you have no idea what's going on.
But they never said that it was a trigger.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, I didn't even know that this was a trigger for you. Never communicated to me. And so don't get mad at me for you not communicating this
what
trigger,
I don't know.
You know? And so I just think a lot of times we got to do a better job at communicating our triggers to our friends and to our family. So many people, I think a lot of people fail at relationships because they have not or do not know how to communicate those triggers to their people. They just hold it in and they just brush it under the rug, and they think, they just explode. So I don't know. Triggers are a very interesting thing.
But do you think there's a lot of people roaming around here that don't even know what their triggers are? Like, who haven't even done really the work on themselves to really communicate that or articulate that into words to someone else. Yeah. And that comes with self-awareness. And if you are not self-aware, you probably shouldn't even be seeking a relationship.
But it's also scary too, though, right? Like you said earlier, like if you don't necessarily have a safe space, then you're not going to say anything, or you're afraid to say anything. So I think communicating your triggers, that you're hurting by this trigger, or you're sad, or you have anxiety by this situation or event. That's not easy to communicate that to someone and say how you feel. I agree. So I think a lot of people just struggle with like just expressing their feelings and emotions in general. So now you want me to tell you that this thing that you could potentially use against me at any moment in an argument to give you the upper hand is now I'm vulnerable. I'm in a vulnerable state, right? And we all say we have the best intentions, right? No one should never do that. But sometimes in the heat of argument, people would say shit.
They do.
And do shit because I know this is a motherfucking trigger. You can piss me off, so you're gonna hurt me, so watch me hurt you. Right. So some people would rather not say anything at all.
But vulnerability is going to be a part of any relationship that you have in your life. And if you're not willing to be vulnerable, then you're not willing to really be fully committed to any relationship.
I agree. I don't disagree.
That's going to be a surface relationship for you. So don't get mad when your triggers are stomped all over, because that's really your responsibility. 100%.
So Method Heads, man, let us know what your triggers are and what kind of work you've done to work on your triggers. There's always a question on Spotify, how you feel about an episode. Come on to Spotify and continue the conversation. Even come into the post video and talk and let us know. We are reading those comments. We do follow up, and we would love to. You can leave us a voice note on Spotify as well. So
hit us up.
Hit us up, Remy. Let's get into our final segment, man.
Oh yeah.
Let's get into method lessons.
Hey.
Reading is fundamental. Now let's get on with this school thing. You teach.
Okay, so this is a segment where we talk about something that we learned recently. And I'm gonna go first.
Okay. All
right.
I learned about something called Nope, I didn't learn that. What I did learn was I learned that hold on, let me get to this. Because I had a clip, but I don't know if you got the clip, Jay.
When did you send it?
Talked about it. I posted it. I put it somewhere. Anyway, I learned that over 50% of Gen Z and millennials say they're not adulting right.
Over 50%, huh?
Over 50%. Like over half of my generation and the generation younger than me. We just feel like we're out here just stumbling around.
We're Gen Z?
I'm a millennial. You're Gen X.
Why you keep trying to put me in Gen X?
You are, man. You are.
I am not Gen X.
I'm an old ass millennial, so you Gen X. Yeah.
Look, we didn't look up before. It's 1980 to 1999 or something like that.
But yeah, the millennials and Gen Z, they don't feel like they're doing it right. And I guess it's stuff like, because they're buying houses and buying property and stuff like that, and having the job that you feel like you want, making the money that you feel like you're supposed to be making. Like, we kind of invented the idea of like the tiny house, because we was like, yo, we can't buy this shit. We need to we need to condense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of sad.
I think it's unfortunate that we just live in a different time where we can't do the same things our parents and grandparents did.
It's not
right. So I can understand why it feels like we're not adulting right in comparison, right? But what's that saying? Like, comparison is the greatest thief in life. Like, when you compare your life to other people, you're always going to feel like that you have less. And I think the truth is, we just live in different times. It sucks.
Also, in the same regard, there's things that we can do that they could never.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, they weren't able to they didn't have access to nearly as much as we have. The world has gotten smaller.
Yeah.
But because the world has gotten smaller, everything's more expensive. You know what I mean? Like, everything costs more. So you just put your money where you can.
Man, it's hard out here, though. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, people are having to rethink their living situations, right? A lot of people can't really afford to live by themselves. Like, is it? No one should live check to check. And I know that there's a lot of pressure on people, especially 35 and up, to have their own shit.
Yep.
But the reality of the situation is, it's hard. It's just hard. It's doable.
Yeah.
But it comes back down to like, how much do you want to work in order to have this American dream? Yeah.
Absolutely.
What you learned this week?
I learned this week. Listen.
That you can't drink like you used to?
No, I can definitely drink more than I used to.
That's next episode.
I can drink more than I used to. I learned this week that, so I know that I'm bougie. I know that I am. I'm aware that I sit in this space.
All right. But
this weekend, traveling back home to Arizona, which is the second home for me. If y'all don't know, I'm originally from Detroit, and then I moved to Arizona in my teens, and I went there to go visit family and friends. And let me tell you, I flew via Southwest and American Airlines, and I had been taking like the last few flights. I had been taking Spirit and Frontier. And I realized just how ghetto they are
in comparison to Frontier though. Isn't Frontier like
Frontier's the same level as Spirit?
Yeah.
Some bullshit.
Yeah.
You get some hard ass seats.
I've actually never flown Frontier.
You don't get no screen.
You get to overly pay.
You don't
for
get
your
no
bags.
Plugs. You get to pay for everything.
You don't get no plugs.
It's a bare minimum. A bare minimum flight.
You got to pay to breathe on the flights.
Oh my god!
I gotta pay for oxygen.
If you want to use the bathroom, that's $5.
Listen, I flew Southwest, and everybody that knows me knows that I don't fly Southwest often. I generally fly American Airlines.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about Southwest. The biggest issue I've heard about Southwest is that you can't choose your seat.
That's ghetto. That's what I don't like. It's ghetto. I done paid my full fare. I want to pick my seat.
And it's so random, like what zone you're in for them. It's
this is the trick. When you fly Southwest, you buy your ticket, and then you go to the ticketing counter and you pay like $25 to upgrade so that you're in the first block that gets to walk on the plane first.
To get in the first zone.
So If I'm not in the first zone, I will pay extra to be in the first zone because I don't want to fight y'all for a good
I'll
seat.
do that on Spirit sometimes too.
You're not finna put me in the middle and I'll be uncomfortable the whole flight.
I won't do middle. I won't do the back. With like
back of the plane.
I want to be by the restroom.
This is random, and I'm running out of time here. But one of our friends, Crystal Clear Vision, shout out to Crystal Clear Vision. She had posted a question or a video of this guy who wanted to fight this other guy on the plane because the guy would not give up his seat for him.
Entitlement.
And I'm like, bro, I am
him.
not giving up my seat for nobody. A seat that I didn't pay for. The only way I'm giving up my seat if it's a better seat in the front and it's a window or aisle seat.
If they giving me
I'm
first class, I'm not getting up.
Like, so what did this?
It's got to be an upgrade.
It got to be an upgrade.
I'm not taking no downgrade.
Yeah. Where did this audacity come from that people expect you to give up your seats because you act?
People have entitlement.
I want to be next to my woman. Motherfucker, you should have picked the seat then. You should have paid for it.
He was triggered by the word no.
True. True.
He could have been your friend.
First of all, I ain't fighting on no plane for nobody.
So y'all ain't never gave up your receipts for anyone?
I've never
changed.
I've never been
I was never asked.
Yeah.
I feel like it depends on how nice they ask. Like if they said, "Can you please whatever," and then I'm thinking like, well, if it's just me or whatever, I usually fly with somebody, and you know what I mean. So that rarely happens for me.
Yeah. Again, if it's a middle seat or to the back, it's an absolutely no. I don't care if you want to sit by your child. I'm not doing it. But if it's an upgrade to the front,
if you wanted to sit by your child, you should have bought your tickets accordingly.
It's kind of funny because
you tried to save money.
In doing that, it's like you're trading
and assume someone will get up their seat.
Yeah, and it's almost like the money that you paid to choose your seat or whatever. Because I guess in their circumstance they didn't pay it.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, okay, that's like me giving you the money to have chose your seat.
Yeah,
but no, I paid for this.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
like I paid for my seat. All right, so here's my method lesson. I'm gonna try to get it to play on this damn iPad Pro. Problem is it's on TikTok and I don't have my TikTok logged in. Let's see what happens.
All right.
Come on.
You logging in right now?
In your life, the more you're paying attention to them. So they captured your attention. So you're giving your power away to that person, right? Because they're capturing your attention. So then there's an energetic connection to every person, everything in your past, present reality has your energy connected to it. So now, this is the significance. When a person really decides to be defined by a vision of the future instead of the memory of the past, the hardest part about it is all of a sudden becoming conscious and not making the same unconscious choice. So then, if you lower the volume to your frustration, to your hatred, to your anger, if you truly knew how to do that, if you lowered the volume to that emotion, you would take your attention off that person, which means you would begin to break those energetic bonds, and now you're taking your power back. Yes. You're calling energy back to you, and we've measured this. And all of a sudden, it builds this bigger electromagnetic field around the person's body. That's energy to heal. That's energy to create a new future with, right? And then if you didn't want to lower the volume to the emotion, then just take your attention off the person. And every time you take your attention off the person, if you became conscious of that, you wouldn't feel the emotion. Now, the body, though, has been addicted to that emotion because you're using that person to reaffirm your addiction to hatred or frustration. And if that person died, you'd find another one. So then here you go now. So now you're in a position now where you begin to lower the volume to that emotion. And the body's going, wait a second, you've been doing this for the last 20 years, and all of a sudden you're just going to stop hating? And the body says, well, I've been conditioned this way, and conditioning is based on the past.
So conditioning is based on the past. And so when I heard this, so there was a guy named Dr. I can't bring him back up, but I'll put it in the comment later. And talking about conditioning, and I thought it tied into like triggers, right? And so when I think about triggers or things I don't want to be like, I think about focusing my attention on something else. So we all are conditioned to be a certain way, but we can recondition ourselves to be a different way, right? And so do you feel like you, Method Head answers the question too, have been able to recondition yourself in your current life based on changing from the past, right? Because I think in the past we always think about like where we came from, and we think we're still that same way, but we forget how much we've changed. Right. So we recondition ourselves. We might still have a couple of triggers here and there, but have we reconditioned ourselves in a positive way? Do we forget about that sometimes? Like, do you feel like you've reconditioned yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because the way that I react to things now at 48 are definitely not the same as 22. I've definitely grown so much more, and I'm able to control my emotions. I think that's super important. Being able to reevaluate yourself, being able to know, like we said earlier, being able to know your triggers, but also process things from different people that you're getting them from, knowing whether or not this person is valid, if they really hold a space in your life, whether you should be upset, you shouldn't be upset.
Yeah. I definitely think I've reconditioned myself, because I used to think about, like, I used to always self-sabotage my friendships, my relationships. I used to run from the first sign of an argument or a disagreement. I just was not really good at. I've always been better at friendships than I have relationships in the past. And I think part of that is just I never really saw what a healthy relationship was, what it looked like. Right. And so I've definitely reconditioned myself to say, you know what, this is my past. I don't want to be that anymore. I don't want to be triggered by this past trauma. I don't want to be this person anymore. So let me do the fucking work to recondition myself. And so I just thought it was a good video or reminder about that. That trauma is a conditioning from the past, you know. So have you reconditioned your life?
Not really, but I could probably use some reconditioning.
You don't think so? I think
I probably have.
Yeah.
Like, when I think about, I don't know, I've been in relationships my whole life, and I feel like I'm not that different. But I feel like the people that I've been with have been very different. Yeah. And I feel like I've grown in between those relationships, but
you feel like you're the same person?
Not exactly the same.
That's growth, though.
I mean, I can't necessarily point out what's different.
I think if you probably sat down and actually thought about it and wrote it down,
like,
you probably could.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
It is what it is, man. So, Selena, you got 1 week left with us.
I do.
Yeah.
You feeling good?
I am. I'm sad. It's going to be over. I've had a good time. It's been a good run.
This has been awesome.
Yes.
Next week,
I very much enjoyed your company.
Yeah, it's definitely been good. Next week, we'll be talking about shit we can't do no more that we used to do. No.
Shit we can't do no more.
Yeah.
Shit we can't do no more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we appreciate y'all. I think it's about that time to shut this thing on down. They say that the liquor make you talk quicker. We say M is for
mostly.
E is for
everybody.
T is for
talking.
H is for
honestly.
O is for
over.
And D is for drinks. And until next week, man. Holla.